McCaffrey's on pace to become in the 12th running back in NFL history with at least 400 touches in a season, including the playoffs. He would be the only modern day, I would say modern day fantasy running back to do it. Adrian Peterson might have been the most recent, but we're talking about, the Latavian Tomlinson years and before that, Eddie George or maybe around that time, Eddie George, but a little earlier, Eddie George, Emmett Smith before that. So, we're talking about guys who played in a different era, essentially, as running backs. Adrian Peterson bridging that gap. But Christian McCaffrey really is the proto-modern running back to do it three times. And he hasn't done it yet, but he's close to 300 touches. And he's on pace for over 400. He's been on pace for over 400 the entire season. It's pretty remarkable. And earlier this season, it might have been over the summer, I talked about Christian McCaffrey as someone with two 400-plus touch seasons, and that after each one, he flopped. The first time, 2019, the following year, he got hurt, played in only 3 games. Then in 2023, it happened again, and then last year, in response to that, played only 4 games, got hurt several times. Someone asked a question on the blog over the summer, what does my research show about running backs a year after they flopped after having 400 touches in a season? I responded something like, that is a great question. I have no idea how that's going to play out. Is Christian McCaffrey going to be elite, or is at age 29 with 2 400-plus touch seasons under his belt, is he on the downswing? And what's remarkable is not just the fact that he's the RB1 in fantasy, and it's not just that he's leading the league in receptions, which makes absolutely no sense, but he is leading the league in receptions. It is that going on age 30 next year, there is a chance that he could do the near impossible, and that is he could be one of the only running backs of at least age 27 to have a 400-plus touch season and then do just as well, roughly, the next season. It's almost never happened. I talked about this last summer when advising managers to stay away from Christian McCaffrey because, based on historical data, there was a 92% chance that he would regress, and in all likelihood, it would be a big regression, and that's what happened. So the writing seems to be obvious on the wall of this idea that if McCaffrey keeps doing what he's doing, hits 400 touches. By the way, that would just be the regular season. So the playoffs, he could easily hit 450 or more. That next year, it would set up this situation where I would be screaming from the hilltops to fade Christian McCaffrey at whatever his ADP is. His ADP could be 20, and I would still say fade him. Because historically, it would be a near impossibility for a 30-year-old coming off a 400-plus touch season to come anywhere close to being a must-start fantasy running back. And yet, this is Christian McCaffrey. And back in, I guess it was 2020, when I advised managers to stay away after what he did in 2019 with all those touches, so I remember some people wrote something to the extent of, well, he's built differently, and there's some truth to that. He's a different kind of running back. He's a special kind of player in this modern NFL where we don't see running backs do this very often. Derrick Henry does, but he also is not as involved in the passing game. Christian McCaffrey does it all. He's kind of a Marshall Faulk throwback in some ways. If I have that right, I'm trying to remember. I think Faulk had 50-plus catches in multiple seasons. But there's guys like that who've done 400 touches and they do it all. And it concerns me on all sorts of levels of what's happening going into next season, unless somehow he's curtailed the rest of the year, which I don't see happening. And the Niners are playing for a playoff spot, and they're not going to step off the gas, as long as McCaffrey is healthy. He is on pace to have the most offensive snaps since 2019. He's on pace to have over 900 in the regular season, which would be, in all likelihood, over 1,000 if they play at least one playoff game. And that would potentially put him on track to having the most snaps of his career and possibly top 2 or top 3 in offensive snaps in the history, modern history of the NFL for running backs. Modern history, I say, because offensive snaps as a statistic traces back to 2012. That's as far back as I've found the data. So for, going on 13, 14 seasons, Christian McCaffrey has a chance to break that record, essentially, of modern day snap count. It's a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff to think about. And this is what I'm thinking about late Monday night, with the wrap up of Monday Night Football, is that Christian McCaffrey's incredible. And if you're a dynasty manager, you're at this crossroads right now, in my opinion, where you got to keep him if you're playing for a title. But if you're not playing for a title, I don't see how, unless again his usage is severely curtailed, or if he gets hurt and is out for the rest of the season, but he's back by next July in practice, in preseason, and everything's fine. But with this kind of mileage that he's racking up, if this continues the rest of the season, statistically, historically, there would be almost 0% chance that he could be anything close to a must-start running back. I'm BJ Riddell, Fantasy Football for the Winners. Follow me on the blog anytime. We'll see you tomorrow.